What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another segment of the Late Night Show with Dr. Kojo. This is Kojo Sarfo checking in from what was a sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. If I sound a little bit weird, my retainers are a little bit different now. They switched it up, so now I feel like I'm talking with a lisp or something like that. Hey, Leilani, how are you doing? This is one of the moderators, by the way. But I mean, I'll make it work. I'll make it work with how I talk. I gotta get used to the retainers, right? I can't keep them out unless I'm eating. So the way we start the live stream, Jacqueline from Missouri as well. She's an OG. The way we start is we start by introducing ourselves. Use the comment section to introduce yourself and let me know where you're checking in from. And let's get into it. We're gonna talk about 3 creative ways to say no. We're talking more about boundaries, right? But we're gonna talk about 3 creative ways to say no. Don, thank you very much. I'm getting used to it, So sometimes when you're nervous about something or you think you're subconscious about something, it's good to say, "Oh, I think." Like it's good to say what you feel, right? Get the feelings out, so that way I'm not just like the whole live stream. And Leilani, I did see the Discord message. I thought I replied. I replied in my head. But I hope you all are doing good in Tennessee. I checked in on my family. It looks like they're doing good. But yeah, a little bit scary with the weather out there. We got my guy Brett from Canada. Brett, what's going on? What part of Canada are you from, by the way, Brett? If you want to share. No worries if you don't. Gulfport, Mississippi. Thank you for my book, Don. I appreciate you. We got Skylar from Tampa, Florida. Skylar, what's up? What's up? We Talia, what's up? We got Wesley checking in from Michigan. I'm doing good. How you doing, my guy? I saw about the stuff that happened in Michigan State, so I'm keeping everybody in Michigan in my prayers, whether you're from Lansing or not. Definitely keeping the whole state of Michigan in my prayers. Lloyd, what's up? We got Brandon from Belize, Ella from upstate state New York, Duval. Morning. It must be morning where you're at. Candace, hey from Hawaii, aloha. Nicole from New Jersey. All right. And Jacqueline with the plug of the book. I'll find my book somewhere here. Oh, Mickey Ficky. Maybe it's in the living room. Yeah, so you can use page 54 in the workbook as we're talking about boundaries. And I'll go get my book shortly. So West Coast of British Columbia. Okay. Well, happy to have you on the live stream today. We have Jen from North Carolina. What's up, Jen? Cynthia from Las Vegas. What's up? What's up? And yeah, I'm happy the family's doing good. It was a little scary. London in the house. Colorado here. What it says, doing good. Oh wow, from Lansing. Things have been crazy, but I'm living CE. I'm not sure if CE is, but checking in, or I'm not sure, but we're gonna have some positive vibes here today. And like I said, I'm praying for the whole state of Michigan. It's always scary when we have those things happen. And I feel like here in America, we live in a constant state of fear or anxiety, when it comes to, shootings and things like that. So I got you all in prayers. Just say no to drugs. Right. Say no to just about anything. We're going to talk about it today, about how we can say no. Because sometimes it's really hard to say no, but that 1 2-letter word can save your life. And it has saved a lot of lives, Sarah, what's going on? John from the DMV, what's up? What's up? I appreciate you, my guy. You came in from positivity. No worries, Wesley. I appreciate you. Albany, New York in the house. What's up, Colleen? My mental health today is actually really good. Some days it's not, but today I feel good and I feel hopeful. Danny, what's up? What's up? Wow. I miss you as well. I used to work with Danny back in Virginia. She was one of my favorite nurses. Because she explained everything to me. Like if Danny was at work, I always was gonna have a good day. So I hope you're doing good. And learning how to say no. Oh no. It could be boundaries as well. Saying no is a form of a boundary. Guy George from Birmingham, Alabama. Nikki from Grosse Pointe. Is that in Michigan? I'm not sure. Jackie, what's up? I'm doing good. California in the house. And what I was saying is this live is about 3 ways to say no, right? But saying no is a boundary, right? Because somebody's approaching you with something that you don't want to do, and you're having a hard time to say no. So if you can say no in one of these creative ways, then you can set that boundary, right? Because we talk about boundaries all the time, but we don't know. Sometimes like you gotta get specific, like what are our boundaries, right? Or how to go about implementing them and how to go about being consistent with it. Because if you implement boundaries for a year and you take off next year from implementing boundaries, you'll go right back to that same cycle. I'm from Grosse Pointe. Track what happened to yeah, I hope for better days, for sure. But like I said, my heart goes out to everybody out there in Michigan. Just very, very scary, Sarah. Very scary. I'm saying a lot of love, thoughts, and prayers you all's way. And Danny, it's so good to see you on here. It's so good to see you on here. And to kick off the page 204 boundaries. So if you have the book, page 204 is boundaries. And Sandra's saying, I said no today with my counselor when she was training someone that I didn't feel comfortable with someone else in the room. Small victories. All right, so we'll start by giving Sandra the first love of the show. Let's get into it. Hope says, I'm a recovering people pleaser. It's impossible for me to say no, and I end up having growing resentments and feeling obligated repeatedly because I'd rather be liked than true to myself. So, Hope, I want to say, first of all, this is the first step of getting better. You admitted something which is very difficult for people to admit, right? So as you admit this and as you move on and move forward, you're going to get better at this, right? And all of us want people to like us in some capacity. Like I want you all to be on the live stream. Like I want, you want people to like you, but it shouldn't be at the detriment to yourself, right? So that's why we have to learn about implementing boundaries and how to say no. So I have I got three, right? But the first creative way to say no, and we can tailor this to like whatever the situation is, right? But alter this and make it work for yourself, right? So that's going to be key. Jackie from San Fran, what's up? And Savage from Snowy, Wisconsin, what's up? Yes, I love the show. Went to Sandra, and also the Hope. You're moving in the right direction. You are moving in the right direction. All right. So number one, the first way to say no creatively is, I'm sorry, I can't take this on at the moment. Right? Let's say somebody comes to you and like, hey, I'd love it if you just help me out with this certain thing, or I need you to help me move. Right? I need you to help me move. I'm a little bit behind on things, and I know you'll help me out because you're such a good friend. And anytime I need you, I can count on you. So if you help me move on Saturday, that would be great, and I'll see you there, right? And this is a good friend. You're gonna be like, dang it, like I don't want to let my friend down, but I'm burnt out. I can't help to move, right? Like I gotta use my back, and I'm tired. I've been working 16-hour shifts all week. Sometimes you feel this big need to explain your situation to people. I think it's just helpful to be like, I'm sorry, I can't take this on at the moment. I can't take this on at the moment. Retainers, you see? Nadia, what's going on? So if you all don't follow Nadia, please follow her. She's a psychotherapist and one of my favorite people on Instagram, and also must be on Facebook apparently. But definitely go follow her because everybody here is, if you're on this live stream, there's a good chance that you're here for mental health information and tips. So if that's the information that you're into, you're going to love her page. So definitely check out Nadia, one of my favorite people on the internet. Likewise, I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. And that's a huge compliment coming from you because you actually do this. So I really appreciate that. And Dania says, from Nebraska, stuck in bed with a sinus infection, upper respiratory infection. I'm sorry to hear that, but it's not so bad because I caught the live. After you say you gotta blow into your hand just for the effect. Libby, what's up? How you doing? What's up, Libby? And I like what Kara said. So Kara could run this live stream. Kara saying, I really appreciate the offer. I really love that you thought of me, right? I wish I thought of these two sentences when I was making up this list. But this is perfect. I really appreciate the offer. I really love that you thought of me, and that shows the person that you appreciate them, but you just can't take on this commitment. And a good friend, is going to understand that, right? And sometimes people, the cool thing about boundaries is that you're going to find out who is really for you, who really supports you. Because if you let a friend down and you can't help them out on Saturday because you're tired, right? And keep in mind, this might be on short notice. But if you can't help them out because you're tired and they ghost you and they don't talk to you anymore, then I would argue whether that's a friend or not. Like I would seriously argue whether I want to keep this person in my life. And if it's somebody who's like a spouse, a parent, or somebody that is just they're just gonna be around, right? Then I would maybe limit the time you spend with that person because you're not gonna get good vibes from them, and good vibes go a long way. They go a long way. Yes, Naya's so awesome. Oh, so you must follow her content as well. That's cool, and it's funny because when you follow a certain type of content, right? The algorithm, depending on the platform that you're on, it will give you similar content. So if you watch mental health content, more than likely you see her content on the internet. Oh, so Kara, so Kara, you're cheating. You're a mental health professional. That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, I'm happy you're here. I appreciate you. I'm happy you're here. And Jacqueline says, "Thank you all. I need to learn to say no to myself." Okay, yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Sometimes we want to do a lot of things, and we have to learn how to say no to ourselves because we're only one person, and you can't do everything. So this is an interesting angle. I didn't even look at it from that perspective. And hey y'all, finally made a live the last couple of weeks. Austin, what's going on? I remember you. What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm doing good. Tomorrow I have a video appointment with my psychiatrist. All right. Hey, we taking care of ourselves. I think I had a Zoom or video thingy with my psychiatrist earlier this week too. So it's never a bad time to check in with your friendly and local mental health professional to keep you on the right track. Ashley, I appreciate you so much. Just got out of drug treatment where I learned I have zero skill setting and keeping boundaries. I need to learn how to be assertive. Well, you stumbled on the right live stream, right? The first tip that I had was, what was my tip? I'm sorry, I can't take this on at the moment, right? When you apologize, you're showing the other person that, hey, I care about you, but I just cannot take on this thing, or maybe it's something that has to do with drugs, right? I'm making this up. So I'm not saying this is your situation, but let's say you have friends who let's say you have a certain group of friends who you get high with, right? And we all got different types of friends. We have friends that we go to church with. We got friends that we play video games with. We got friends that we get high with, right? All kinds of friends, right? And let's say you tell your friends, hey, I love hanging out with you, and like I would love to just be here and watch a movie, but I don't want to get high. A good friend would say, and they don't have to stop what they're doing, but a good friend can say, "Oh, Ashley, Kojo, I respect what you have going on, and it's all good. And maybe we'll smoke somewhere else, or we'll do our thing somewhere else, but we're not going to force you or make you feel bad that you set a boundary, right? So the cool thing about setting boundaries is that we get to figure out who really supports us, right? And the unfortunate thing about boundaries is that we get to figure out who supports us, right? So it can be a double-edged sword, but I'd rather have people who are going to support me than just a whole bunch of friends, right? When it comes to friends, I'd say it's quality over quantity. That's how I feel. And Kara says, I'm actually working on drying myself right now. Once again, Kara could host this show. I could bring her on the live stream. Let me go backwards and get some comments. Mama Susie, how are you doing? Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Mama Susie, she's a very special person to me. Mama Susie and Pastor Mark, they've supported me throughout the years, and they're a big part of my spiritual family. So a big shout out to Mama Susie. That's what I call her, and Pastor Mark. I appreciate you all for being in my life. And Julia says, I need this so bad right now. I can't stop saying yes or putting myself out there for others. I'm getting so burnt out and currently resentful of everyone. Right. And Julia, this is why it's good to put the boundaries up, because sometimes when you get burnt out, you just get irritable. And it's not that you want to explode on your family, but you may not have slept in a minute, and you just need some rest, right? But you can't rest if you're trying to do like 30 different things at once. Nikki says, this is funny. I have no comment on that. I just think it's funny. Yes, chronic illness, pain can impact your mental health. No, for sure. Like today, I read news about a senator who I think had a stroke in the past, and he was suffering from depression. So I just headline read it, so I need to go back and really read the story. But mental health and physical health does go hand in hand. Knowing myself. Sometimes you gotta say no to yourself, Libby. And Savage Clark, I'm not an expert on fibromyalgia or chronic pain. but there's always room for me to learn. I'm not sure how to cut to appreciate you. Should you always trust your gut feeling? So, for the most part, Amber, I would say trust your cautiously trust your gut feeling, because if you're feeling a certain way, there's a reason why you feel that way. It's not just by randomly, but it's a reason why you feel that way. Um, love you too, Mama Susie. Thank you so much for everything. And let me see. I had friends who like couldn't handle boundaries around feelings. I'm better off now, but it was hard. I agree 100%. Yeah. So this is not going to be easy. I don't want a lot of y'all and say that it's going to be some enlightening experience where all of a sudden you place boundaries and you're having the best time ever. No, you may lose people that mean a lot to you, and even if they're not like a real friend or whatever the case may be, if that's somebody who has been in your corner, through some of the darkest moments of your life, it's going to be hard to separate from that person, and sometimes you can have friends that are not a good influence on you, right? But they've been there at some of your most trying moments, right? So sometimes we'll confuse like familiarity with real friendship, and not to say that they're not a real friend, but for where you are in life, you may just have to separate yourself. Nothing wrong with that. And Kelsey, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention. You say thank you, I say thank you back. And I thought it was hard to make boundaries with right. And look, there's nothing wrong with party friends, right? Like I'm in LA. I have I have all kinds of friends in LA, like friends that I didn't think I would have. What every type of occupation, I have a friend probably in that category. That's why you got to set boundaries, because I might not want to go, like I don't want to go party with you, but I do want to be your friend if you're okay with me not coming out to party with you. Savage says, I try to say no about being in someone's wedding and was guilted into it. So people will do this a lot when they feel like, you're adamant about saying no. They'll try and coerce you into doing a certain thing. And there's one thing to be in somebody's wedding, right? And it's another thing to be in the wedding and you really want to be in there, right? Like you would be a better person if you want to be in the wedding. You'd be happy, you'd be more energetic. But if it's one thing I know about weddings, weddings can take a couple of hours. I don't know if you're doing it at like a black church or something like that, but weddings can take a wedding can be long, right? So if you don't want to be in the wedding already, and now they guilt tripped you into being in the wedding. Now you have to like survive the whole, instead of like celebrating the person, like the love of the wedding, you're trying to survive it, and you're just like, oh, you're like, I can't wait for this wedding to end, right? But if you're there at the wedding, maybe the next time you're gonna have another opportunity to practice boundaries. Setting boundaries made me go no contact. And Melissa, thank you for bringing this up. Sometimes this happens, right? And I had to learn this like professionally as a mental health professional, because like I have a good relationship with my parents, and even when it wasn't that good, I always wanted them in my life. But sometimes you may have to set boundaries with people closest to you, and it may interfere the relationship that you had with them. You may not be able to see them as much. Um, and let me see. Becky, what's going on? I remember you. What's up? What's up? What's up? How to teach my 5-year-old boundaries. But like it's never too early to teach a kid about boundaries. And a lot of us would be doing better if when we were 5, somebody pulled us aside and taught us how to say no. Right. The only time I remember learning about no was in school. They'd say no to drugs, but they would never really tell us why we should say no to drugs. They just said say no to drugs. But like a 5-year-old could be watching this live stream. We don't use profanity here. I try my best not to let anything slip out of my mouth. So this would work for a 5-year-old or a 35-year-old. New chapter for me this week: learning I use control for security. Ooh, wow, it's deep. I've been pushing boundaries to take care of the family dog who has liver cancer. Sorry to hear about that, Brianna. It's hard. I was blind to it for the most part until my therapist pointed out I'm using control so our fur baby isn't in pain. Right. And as humans, sometimes we want to control things, but we don't control anything. It's remarkable how little we control. And when you realize that, it's actually liberating for me. My bad. I got the sports notification. 6-year-old, my body, my choice. It's and cute daughter, by the way. I'm assuming that's your 6-year-old in the picture. But when I have kids, I'll start teaching them at a super early age about consent, boundaries. No, it's never too early to learn. Emily says, I got into therapy after 4 months of waiting. I'm getting in for bipolar and BPD testing. Thank you. Thanks for everything your book is not for me. Emily, no, thank you for your attention. And anytime people leave these comments in here, I do believe that anybody who's watching live, right, or people who watch after the fact, I do believe that they could be inspired by that. So thank you so much for sharing, and I'm rooting for you. And black weddings and Vietnamese weddings, ooh, the best. So I've never been to a Vietnamese wedding. I've mainly been to black weddings, but they can be kind of long sometimes. They can kind of be long sometimes. But they are good. They are good. Since we live on a lake, this used to be the party house. It takes firm boundaries when you grow out of hard partying. We still have people over, but tone down, no drugs and alcohol driving boats. So, Libby, this is really good. I like this because I don't think, like, who am I to tell somebody stop using drugs? Like, that's not my place, right? And you got to support people right where they are. But if you can at least say, don't be under the influence of anything while driving a boat, I think that keeps everybody safe, right? And it prevents tragedy. So I think that's a good boundary, right? And all right, this is the second way to say no creatively. And I like Kara's ones better than mine, but I'll go with the ones that I mean I wrote the list, so I'll put it up. And Megan, water break in 10 minutes or in 8 minutes. The water break is coming up. So another way to say no creatively is to say thank you so much, but I'll have to decline, right? And this way, you don't have to even give an excuse, or you don't have to explain to anybody, right? Like no is actually a complete sentence, right? You don't have to explain to anybody why you do or don't want to do a certain thing. You can just say, "Oh, thanks so much, but I have to decline," right? And somebody might say, "Oh, what are you doing?" And when people say that, it kind of gets underneath my skin because I'm like, I don't have to tell you what I'm doing. But depending on your relationship with the person, you can say, "Oh, yeah, I have X, Y, and Z going on, and I can't make it." And there's been times when I've declined things just to rest, and you do sound kind of funny when you tell people no just to take a break, and rest. Because I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I could help them out, but if I don't take a break and rest, and I don't have time for myself, there's no way I can be on live stream. I can't be the person I need to be for my parents and for my siblings and for anybody. So taking breaks, and saying no to things just to take breaks, there's nothing wrong with that. And I completely agree. There's no need to give a reason as to why. There's just no need. Oh yeah, I love naps. Love naps. Uh, Emma, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And mental health awareness is one of my top priorities. And as I, do the videos and the live streams, I'm always looking for new ways to help myself. Maybe I'll do a live stream on the things that has benefited me the most. I think that could be a show. How can I set boundaries for myself with substances? All right, so uh, one thing that I would caution is it depends on the substance, right? Especially with alcohol. A lot of times, if you want to detox, it needs to be professionally done. But as a general rule of thumb, I tell people to, just gradually, of course, with professional help, right? But gradually over time, try and lower the amount that you use, or even let's say you're trying to stop, eating sugar. That's what I'm right now. That's what I'm working on. I'm eliminating sugar from my diet, right? So I'm not gonna just like throw out the 5 Twix bars in my fridge. I'm gonna keep it there for now. Maybe I'll have a Twix bar every now and then, right? But I'm working to slowly cut out sugar, from my diet because when I did that for a period of time, I felt sharper. I didn't feel like ADHD held me back as much, right? So progressively is how you do it, Emily. Erica says, you are not responsible for upsetting someone for saying no to them. Let them you'll be happier. And I agree with this, right? We are not responsible for other people's feelings. And sometimes we forget that. I do it all the time. And I have to remind myself that you have to give people a chance to make their own decision and put their own spin on things. My boundaries were broken at a very, very young age. This makes it so hard for me. And Sarah, depending on what happened, it's going to be hard, but it's not impossible. So if it's not impossible, you could do it. So once you know that it's possible, then that could give you the hope that, oh, maybe I can set boundaries. And the cool, a good thing about this is the moment you start to set boundaries a little bit, your confidence improves because now you know that people just can't pull anything, on you, right? You're less susceptible to gaslighting, manipulation, emotional, verbal abuse. It's really hard to verbally run laps on somebody who has boundaries. Now you could, now if you're a master manipulator, you could try your best. It may work, but it's gonna be really hard to get somebody who's dedicated to self-respect to disrespect themselves. If that makes sense. I may have been the bar. I like that. May have been the bar. Yes, OMG. They both start in the morning and go till the wee hours. Gotta pace yourself. Cannot be white girl. What was that song? Is it Gucci Mane? A white girl with, I think I forget the song. It was a song that was popular when I was in high school. But yeah, depending on what you want to do, if your white girl wasted at noon, it might be hard to be productive. You may want to wait until 7 o'clock or something. Um, Let me see. I can't stop myself. I feel like I always have to have reason to say no. And look, Julia, you're not gonna wake up tomorrow and be expert at this, right? So you practice with small things. If you have a hard time saying no to a big thing, start with something small, right? And also, so I will say this, when it comes to binge eating, food restriction, a lot of times, and look, I'm not saying that this is you, okay? Just so we're clear. But a lot of times, sometimes when you struggle with binge eating, food restriction, counting calories, and you get into body dysmorphia and potentially eating disorders, a lot of times you can't just watch a live stream where we're talking about boundaries. A lot of times you may need professional help to help you develop that relationship with your body to where you appreciate your body where it is right now and you appreciate what your body does. So if you binge eat and you don't like how your body looks, you have to appreciate the fact that you have a body and how your body looks and the fact that you're able to eat food, right? And then once you make peace with that, you can start being nicer to yourself. So some people can hear that and get better, but sometimes, especially when it crosses into eating disorders, eating disorders are much more dangerous than the general public realizes, I think. So if ever you suspect that you could, have an eating disorder, I would definitely urge you to seek out professional help. But for all of us, we know we can work on, appreciating our body to the best of our ability. And let me see. So if you have the workbook, page 178 in there, it's going to help you carry yourself with confidence. And you have books right here, so I can just refer to it. The hardest part on setting boundaries is that I don't realize in the moment that it's happening. It's always after the fact that I realize I should have set them. So Sandra, this has happened to me before, and what I'll say is, somebody earlier asked about somebody asked about escape it. I had on the tip of my tongue. Intuition. Somebody asked about if you should trust your intuition in the live stream earlier. Here's my thing. Whenever you do something and it feels bad, that's a good time to pause and ask yourself, like, that didn't feel right, and remember that feeling. Right? Let's say you somebody convinced you to do something that you didn't want to do, right? And before you did it, you were like, I'm not sure if I want to do this, right? If you did something that you didn't want to do because you felt like you're pressured into doing it, it's gonna leave this bad feeling in your stomach. I don't know what you call it, but it's this bad feeling where you're like, I just don't feel. I didn't like that feeling, right? Remember that feeling and hold on to that feeling. And the next time you feel that feeling, it may be time to set boundaries, And this feeling happened to me this week. I can't even say why it happened, but something happened. I was like, I don't like how this feels. I'm gonna work to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I just didn't like. I'm like, I didn't feel like I was respecting myself by going through with that thing. And let me see. So Larry says, and yeah, this is also helpful too. Like, let's say you love tequila, right? And anytime you see tequila, you're like, I gotta drink tequila. I gotta, you know, by not keeping tequila in your house, that could make it easier for you. Because if you have it in your house, you're like, oh man, you know. But if it's not there, then you know you have to go to the store. You have to go get it. And let's say you're craving it late at night. Some places like, no, I'm from the South. Like, depending on where you're at on a Saturday night, you can't get alcohol after a certain time, right? So if you're having late night cravings and it's not there at the house, and you leave the house to go get it, you can't get it, right? Because you just didn't have it readily available. So this is helpful. And Andrea Kathleen, so a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner with a doctorate at DNP. Trust your gut, slow it down, man. I gotta tell you, my psychiatrist about you. He's hella cool too. Let me know what he thinks of the content. I'm actually curious. Let me know what he thinks of the content. Yeah, I need to keep two because I'd lose one. I know how I am. And all right, let me go get the stuff. So in many parts of the South, it is, you know, in many parts of the South, it is like you know when the liquor store closes, you know, depending on what city you're at. All right, let me go grab let me go grab some water for the water break. Yeah, this water here is old. Let me grab some water real quick. I'm a marriage and family therapist. Nice to meet you. Is it Andrea or Andrea? That's such a confusing. It's a beautiful name, but it's a confusing name for me because I'm like, is it Andrea or Andrea? And I know because many years ago I used to date this girl from Louisiana, and her mom's name was that's how it was spelled, you know. So I saw it, you know, on a piece of paper, and like I should just asked her, but I spent like a good 2 weeks, you know, thinking to myself, I'm like, when I meet your mom, is it Andrea or Andrea? Andrea or Andrea? I think it was Andrea, but I was like, I was freaking out. I'm like, how do you pronounce his name? Like, you know. So if you're still here, can you spell out how you pronounce your name? Let me see. Andrea. All right, Andrea. Cool. I think most people who spell the name is Andrea, right? Andrea. All right, like Andre with an A. Andrea. Okay. Hey, if I don't know something, I'll just let y'all know. All right, okay. All right, water break. Time for the magic word. The magic word has already been dropped, so it's time for the water break. The water break gives us a chance to take in water because sometimes, you know, ADHD or not, you might forget to drink some water. So, water break time. Big cheers, everybody. All right. Well, I didn't like the low droplets of water spilling on me. I thought it was done, but you get the point. It's gone. I hope that if y'all drinking water home, after you drink the water, right, you should go like this. Drink the water, catch your breath. As you can tell, I haven't been drinking enough water today. You know, so anytime I can drink this in one sitting, it means I'm underhydrated. So that's why we have the water break. I'm very grateful for it. the way he said that's funny. Can you pound 60 ounces? The way he said is funny. That's hilarious. And look. I'm not telling y'all to drink a lot at once. Because I don't know if kids or teens are watching, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. Maybe I have to start drinking a little bit at a time. Um, Thank you so much, Andrea, Miss Andrea. Thank you so much. I looked at the name. I'm like, Andrea. Gotcha. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Big cheers, big cheers. All right. Let me get to the third one, but let me answer this question real quick. Robo, hey, love you too, my guy. I'm not sure who you are, but love you too. Appreciate you. And yeah, I should be using the water bottle. I should be using it. And so interesting question, and I'll get to the third part. So this is a complicated question because you know if somebody's grieving and they're thinking a lot about death, then I would attribute that to the fact that oh, you lost somebody close to you, so you've been thinking about death a lot. But sometimes we're thinking about death for many different reasons. So I wouldn't even. It's tough. It's tough to answer it, but depending on what's going on, you may not need to stop thinking about it. You may want to work those feelings out and figure out why am I thinking about this so much? Like, like what does this mean for me? Or am I fearful of something? Is it anticipatory grieving? Like, are you afraid? Like, are you anxious or are you maybe depressed by something that happened in the past? Or are you grieving and you're having a hard time grieving? Or is it the anniversary of when you've lost somebody, and it just you start to think about that, right? So it just depends. Many different reasons as to why somebody might think about death. But like Kara said, uh, you'd want to process it. And even call worse, Andrea. It's easy now. It's easy name, Andrea. Leilani, you did miss the water break. You missed the water break. Ah, oh, Mickey Ficky. Sarah Ann, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I hope you keep going. And I'm excited to see what you do with your psychology degree. Andrea, I got it right. Andrea. Um, I'm in trouble. A week. Andrea, Ficky, Andrea. Hold on 1 second. When you go on Google, it'll tell you how to pronounce things. Andrea. Let me see. Pronunciation. Andrea.
We are looking at how to pronounce this female given name, as well as how to say more interesting and often unclear names as well, so make sure to stay tuned and consider subscribing. People pronounce it differently. So this really, Andrea, with an emphasis on the first syllable, although in American English it would be said more as Andrea. Some people do pronounce it as Andrea, with an emphasis on the second syllable. So Andrea or Andrea or Andrea.
Okay, Andrea, Mickey Ficky. Um, all right, but he's good, right? Your husband's good. Just making sure. Rob was saying, I suppressed the death of my father for 15 years. Are you leaving? Right. My advice is feel everything as deeply as you can. Don't avoid. Don't deflect. Feel everything. And this, I would co-sign this. I will say sometimes people might not be in the mental space to process certain things. So process things at your own pace. But I do think that being able to feel everything is a beautiful thing. And I never realized this until I got the chance to work at the inpatient psych hospital, and I had patients who had schizophrenia. And one thing with schizophrenia, not to get too off topic, but one thing about schizophrenia is people think that's just hearing voices, but schizophrenia is a thought disorder, right? So you may have a hard time controlling your thoughts, or even feel like you're in control of what you want to think or how you feel, right? But there's a big uh, feeling is a big part of schizophrenia. Sometimes you're not able to express your emotions or even feel things accurately, as I've heard from some patients. So that's when I started to think, oh, wow, it's the ability to feel everything. Like we can feel things as humans, and that's a beautiful thing. Even though the things that we feel might be, sad and tragic. Andrea, I just had to go back to that. Andrea, 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 Andrea. I don't know. I'm missing that. Mickey Ficky, Mickey Ficky. I'm surprised you got my name. I think Leilani is easier than Andrea. I have a different pronunciation each time. Andrea, Andrea. All right, I got it. All right, so number 3. Let me get the last point in real quick. 3 creative ways to say no. The last way is just to say no. Like I mentioned this earlier in the and Laura, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I mentioned this earlier in the live stream, but sometimes you can just say no. Like no. If normally this is when somebody asks you a yes or no question, right? Like oh, you want to go to the Dodgers game with me on Friday? No, you can't make it. You can ask something after that, but no is a complete sentence, right? If you write N and an O and you put a dot after it, that's a sentence. That's a complete sentence, right? A word can be a sentence, right? And you can just say no in the most genuine way possible, right? Now, if you say no, the person might be like, oh, they want to go, but you can be like, no, I want to, but I'm sorry, no, and you have to say I'm sorry, but you can just say no. Let me drop the 3 tips in there real quick. Right here. This is the 3 tips right here, right? It looks weird where I put it on the screen, but just say no. Just say no. 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 Kind of like Andrea. You could say it in different ways. No. No. Nah. No. 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 Right? I mean, there's many different ways to say it, but you don't owe anybody an explanation, right? And sometimes, especially when you're early in your journey to stop people pleasing, you may tend to you have this diarrhea of the mouth sometimes. You're like, oh no, I had a long week. I've been up since, and I had to get the kids, and I would come to the game, but I have to take the 4 or 5, and there's a lot of traffic, and where I live, it's hard to get there because you can just say no, right? You can just say no. But sometimes you feel like you want to explain to people just because you want them to know that you saying no doesn't mean that you don't have it. There's no issue with them. I just can't for whatever reason, right? I just can't. And then as I'm getting older, I think it's a beautiful. Like when people tell me no, I think it's a beautiful thing. Like, oh, you can make it. It's all good. No worries, right? And when you don't take things personally, you're able to look past, because if you hear no, it's disappointing. Nobody wants to hear no, right? We all want to say no, but we don't want to hear no, right? So when you hear no, it's like, oh dang, I thought you wanted to go to the Dodgers game with me, but I guess all right, it's cool. You don't, it's cool, But when you and I've been working hard on this to make an intentional effort to not take things personally, because I used to struggle with that. So when you're able to not take things personally, I can separate my feelings from that person's desire to not want to go to a certain event or to do a certain thing, right? And yeah, real friends and family respect. No, I agree. And Joe, I saw the earlier question. Yeah, we're talking about creative ways to say no, right? Because sometimes it's hard to say no, right? But we have to find a creative way to say no, to show that we appreciate people, but we just don't want to do a certain thing. We don't owe even explanation respectful. Just no. Yeah, yeah. It's just no. It's just no. And that's me that read the mouth when trying to say no. And look, Laura, it's not just you, but it's a lot of people, right? And I figured out that I try and explain things to somebody after I say no when I really want to either do that thing, but I can't do it because of some type of time commitment, or I really want to impress that person for whatever reason. Now I don't know why I would want to impress somebody. Maybe I'm trying to impress them, business wise, or maybe even I'm trying to impress them on a personal level. So I feel the need to be like, oh no, I've had a long. It's just no, right? It's just no. It's just no. And I think there's a component of anxiety sometimes when people feel the oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure, for sure. At least in my opinion, I do think that there's a component of anxiety when people feel the need to explain. And here's also the link for the Discord server as well. It's a good place for us to congregate and build this community online. I have not been as active in Discord because I've been traveling and back and forth, but I will be a little bit more active in the Discord. What do you think about ghosting someone when you don't want to say no or use any of the other tips? It happens to me sometimes, and I've been someone who did this for certain situations. All right, so with ghosting, I think that if your life or someone you love's life is in imminent danger, or you just feel unsafe around a certain situation or person, I think it's you can ghost, right? If you just feel unsafe, just not, in my opinion, that's the one situation where I think it's okay to ghost. What do you think about ghosting someone when you don't want to say no or use any other tips? I think, in my opinion, if you don't want to say no and you ghost them, I mean, you can ghost them, you can go your way and let them go their way. But the reason why I'm not a big fan of it is because the next time you encounter a situation where you don't want to say no, are you going to ghost that person again? Like you're setting a pattern for like, oh, this is what I did last time, so I'll do this most likely next time, and I might just start ghosting people when I really want to say no, right? So you can ghost them, or you could just say no, right? Or you can say, I really wish I could, but I can't. I'm sorry. Find a way to say no, right? Um, so yeah, that's what I would say about that, and it's funny because I was talking to my workout buddy, right? And I was telling him that whenever towards the end of a relationship, if I really, well, not always towards the end of a relationship, but let's say if I'm dating a girl and I'm into her, right, and we're having an issue, I I don't mind confrontation. I will speak up. I will say no. I will say yeah. I'll say whatever because I want that relationship to continue, right? But when it's towards the end of a relationship and you're about to break up, and I'm mentally checked out. At that point, I don't even care to even say no or even explain anything, right? Because it's like I'm already mentally checked out, right? But when you care, you'll explain things to people, at least out of respect. But I don't know the situation all the way, so it might not work for this situation. But just in general, I think it's good to just kind of learn how to say no, right? A lot of women are conditioned to not say no by society or culture. Um, uh, Yes, some yeah. Because I have to think about that because I'm not a lady, so I have to give it some thought. But I would agree with that, Libby. Society does put certain expectations on you. You got to do this. You got to do that. You gotta get married. Whatever, right? So we do have to learn how to say no, right? Let's see. If you say yes all the time, I'll keep asking you. Yeah. True. And at some point, if you at some point, the only option is to either set a boundary or burnout. All right. And I've been on both ends, and I don't want to go back to burnout. So I'm gonna set boundaries, right? Um, let me see. How the intermittent. I missed the content about that. Let me see. What did it say? I've been Jacqueline, I appreciate you. Um, wow, it's been a year, almost 3 months. Mickey, Vicky, time flies. I appreciate you. That's wild. Time really flies. Um, it's like my boundaries have been explicit about if please don't worry. It's not a resort. Right. But if this is a point where you've been putting up boundaries and it doesn't work, then maybe I'll say no. It just depends on the situation. But either way, I'm out. Whether I ghost or I'm gonna be out. Like either way, I'm about to be out. You know, this is exactly what I've had to my husband, especially for people he works with, because one person knew he could ask my hubby to do anything and he wouldn't say no. Then it got out of hand. I told him that's the boundaries with him. Eventually, he did, and the person stopped asking him to do tasks for him and then take credit for it. Right, and this happens to a lot of people, and it's not that like you might read this and think, oh, Leilani's husband just can't set boundaries. But a lot of times the people who come to you and ask you to do certain things are people you like. Like it'll be a buddy or somebody that you're cool with. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you. Right. And before you know it, you have to sit there and think to yourself, like, all right, I'm taking time out of my schedule to do this. So it's making me feel like I'm burnt out. And I do enjoy you. You're one of my favorite coworkers, but like I have to say no. Like we can still be cool, and when you do things for people you like, you want to do it more, like it's a cool feeling. Like when you help people, yeah, I got you. But at some point, and it doesn't mean that the coworker is a bad person, but at some point, you something it might become a crutch, and like this happens at jobs where you have a very, very, very good employee, and other employees might not be like on that level. The employee that's the best normally gets punished because they're like, oh, Jim got it. Jim knows everything at the job. He got it right, and before you know it, if Jim decides to leave that job or he quits or he takes a week off, everybody suffers because it's like, oh, this is a person who always does it. So there's some beauty that comes with letting people do things for themselves. I wish you could send pictures in the maybe put it in the group to see the blue labradoodle. It just sounds like a beautiful dog. All right, Carla, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And uh, IED, as far as I know, it is intermittent explosive disorder. All right. All right. Okay. So let's see. Okay. All right. So I do have to dip out. Let me read this real quick. Dip out. My thing is, I like to set boundaries from the jump of relationship whenever I can to set people's expectations. Uh, let me talk about this real quick. The beginning of any relationship is the best time to set the boundaries, right? It's the best time because let's say you're in a relationship, right? And let's just make it a romantic relationship just to make it easy, right? If you're in a romantic relationship and there's something that you're doing that you're not comfortable with, but you did it for the first 8 months, right? And then you wake up one day and you tell your partner, spouse, person, I don't like it. I don't like doing X, Y, and Z. I don't like doing this, right? It's a boundary and you should speak up for yourself. But then that person has the right to say, oh, wow, it's been 9 months. You never told me that you hated going to brunch. And we've been going to brunch this whole time. Like you should have told me that you didn't like this, right? So the best time to, set boundaries is in the beginning. But at any point when you feel like you have to set a boundary, it is important to have that discussion. So it was a good live stream. So hey, appreciate you, my guy. Thank you so much. And Brenda, thank you so much. Hope everybody has a great night. Andrea, thank you so much. Hope you have a great night. And we'll be back around. Thank you, Andrea. We'll be back Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm looking back to getting on routine. So 6 in the morning, California time, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. So I'll see y'all then for the breakfast show. And until then, take care. Love y'all.